participants as the country's trials for Japanese drug Avigan have started. A chunk of the Senate-approved 4.5 trillion national budget will go to vaccine procurement. The 2021 spending bill also focuses on the rehabilitation of typhoon-hit areas. President Duterte is backing the proposal to extend the Bangsamoro transition to 2025. Officials are citing difficulties in implementing due to the pandemic. And the Tourism Department is investigating a Halloween party in Boracay where attendees were seen violating COVID-19 protocols. We begin tonight with the Philippines set to purchase 2 million vaccine shots from the United Kingdom's AstraZeneca. Japan's Avigan, meanwhile, has started its independent trials in the country. Greg Gregorio with the big story.
Some COVID-19 patients in the country are found to have suffered stroke while being hospitalized due to the infection. Based on the interim analysis of an ongoing Philippine corona study, 2.2% or 62 out of more than 2,700 COVID-positive patients from 37 hospitals in the country experienced this. Dr. Epi Colliantes of the Philippine General Hospital Stroke Services attributes this to the inflammation in the brain caused by the virus.
Initially, nag-headache, no, iba-iba yung sinasabi, nangingisay, tumitigas, no, nangingisay. And then, pwede mag-stroke sila, pwede mag-coma.
Some of these are elderly who have mild to severe COVID-19 cases. Upon recovery, they run the risk of developing Parkinson's, Alzheimer, or other cognitive impairment in the long run. As of now, these patients are given the same standard of care provided to all COVID-positive patients.
Yung iba, binibigyan ng remdesivir. Kaya lang, may mga pag-aaral ngayon na nagsasabi, yung remdesivir does not really decrease mortality. No? Pero, nasa-shorten kasi yung hospital stay with that medicine. So, binibigyan pa rin. And then, kung may infection sa lungs, binibigay rin. Binibigyan ng oxygen kung nahirapan huminga.
The use of remdesivir is currently part of the World Health Organization Solidarity Trial in search of a possible treatment against COVID-19. As of October, more than 380 COVID patients being treated in the country have taken remdesivir. The government is set to ink a deal with AstraZeneca on November 27. Under the tripartite deal, the Philippines will purchase 2 million doses of UK's experimental vaccine. Some private companies will also sponsor the partial costs. As for Japan's anti-flu drug Avigan, independent trials in the Philippines have started. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergara says 8 participants are currently enrolled in the trials, 3 of which are from the Philippine General Hospital, another 3 from Jose N. Rodriguez Memorial Hospital, and 2 from Quirino Memorial Hospital. Health officials hope to enroll more patients to achieve their target of 164 patients. The trial has faced several delays due to documentary requirements and lack of participants.
Meron na ho tayong less stringent criteria para mag-include ng patients para dumami po yung mga nare-recruit nating pasyente.
The Food and Drug Administration, meanwhile, has a reminder for those who are planning on purchasing the Chinese herbal medicine Yanhuan Singwen. The FDA approved the drug in August as treatment for certain symptoms.
Kung meron ka sigurong COVID, tas meron ka ng mga symptoms na tumpa dun sa kanyang approved traditional use, then it might be helpful, no? But in the Philippines, it's not approved for COVID-19.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Public health advocate Tony Liachon is urging government to immediately vaccinate Filipinos instead of doing it per batch. In an interview with Agenda, the former National Task Force advisor said longer immunization periods could result in surges in infections.
Sana 2 taon lang. Kasi kung 2 taon, mas mabilis tayong makakabalik sa ating buhay. So dapat tumulong na yung private sector kasi this will affect also the economy.
Jaime Montoya of the DOST Philippine Council for Health and Research Development told the chiefs the possible repercussions for those who refuse to get vaccinated.
If you are not vaccinated, and that's your choice, you decided not to be vaccinated, then there will be certain restrictions. Remember, the dictum of the World Health Organization repeatedly mentioned, and I should say this again and again, no one is protected until everyone is protected.
COVID-19 cases across the globe have now surpassed the 60 million mark. That's according to Reuters. The United States still has the most number of infections with more than 12 million to date. The virus has so far killed around 1.4 million people worldwide. Meanwhile, a recent study suggests that plasma treatment has shown no benefit in severe COVID-19 cases. Researchers from Argentina said the so-called convalescent plasma, which transfers antibodies from survivors to infected people, has not actually improved the condition of critically ill patients. In a separate study, researchers in London said none of the mutations currently documented appear to be making the virus spread more rapidly. The scientists identified 12,700 mutations or changes from the virus from more than 46,000 COVID-19 patients in 99 countries. And it may not be a smooth start for some 3,500 new doctors as the country still grapples with the COVID-19 pandemic. But the passers are ready to take on the challenge. Jenny Dongon with a story.
Joe Lapides of the University of the Philippines, Manila, wasn't able to immediately check the passers list of the November 2020 physician licensure examinations. His batchmate informed him of the results once posted. It turns out he topped the exam with a rating of 88.67%.
May mga hinanap pa po muna ako na ibang people sa list. Bago po nag-sink in sa akin na nagtatalo na sa sayo. Tinanay ko pong alamin kung yung buong batch po namin, buong class namin nakapasa. Tapos kasabay ko po kasing nag-take yung girlfriend ko po.
In fact, this is not the first of Lapides' fate. In 2011, he also topped the nursing licensure examination with a rating of 88.40%. Fresh off becoming a two-time top-notcher, Lapides said he was not supposed to study again since he's already a registered nurse.
Wala po sa plan ko nung una talaga na maging doktor. Gusto ko lang po mag-serve sa healthcare po, sa health system. Pero yun po, nag-present pa yung opportunity na mag-pursue ng med. So, I decided to go with it.
Lapides has worked at the Philippine General Hospital's Ophthalmology Department. Even before the onset of the pandemic, he has already bore witness to the challenges in the profession.
Once it got here, doon natin na-realize na ang dami palang changes na kailangan mangyari, na almost talaga parang nag-overflow na yung patients natin, tapos parang sobrang exhausted na ng healthcare professionals.
The top-notcher hopes that healthcare workers in the country will finally be given proper benefits.
Yung isa yung manpower talaga. Sobrang stretch talaga yung healthcare staff natin. Sobrang tagal na nitong pandemic, sobrang ilang months na to. So, yung burden sa kanila, I can just imagine.
Meanwhile, the lionized Tiffany Uy of UP Manila took the 5th spot with a rating of 88.0%. In 2015, Uy made history as UP Diliman's highest grade holder since World War II with a general weighted average of 1.004. She then continued her studies at the UP College of Medicine, finishing magna cum laude and emerging as class valedictorian. Uy trended on Twitter with many netizens praising her recent achievement. The Cebu Institute of Medicine was named as the top-performing school with a perfect passing rate, followed by UP Manila, Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, and UST. Dr. Tony Liachon, former National COVID-19 Task Force Special Advisor, expressed his joy on One News agenda as his youngest son, Jolo, is also a doctor now.
Sabi nila, napakahirap maging doctor in this present time dito kasi your life will be in danger as well. Sabi ko, yan ang profession na niyakap natin eh.
Another proud parent is Vice President Lenny Robredo, who posted a photo of her daughters with the caption, Dr. na si Trisha. Despite their differences, Palace spokesperson Harry Roque congratulated Roberto's daughter and the rest of the passers.
Sa panahon ng pandemya, talagang kayo po mga bagong bayani at inaasahan po natin na dadagsa po magbibigay ng tulong medikal sa ating bayan habang wala pa pong solusyon sa pandemya.
A total of 3,538 out of 4,704, or 75% of the takers passed the licensure exams. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
We'll go for a quick break. When the big story returns. The 4.5 trillion budget finally gets the Senate nod. The spending bill will focus on the country's pandemic response as well as typhoon recovery. And the tourism department is looking into a Halloween party in Boracay where attendees were seen violating COVID-19 protocols. We'll be back with the details. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. Senators have approved the 4.5 trillion national budget for 2021. A chunk of this will go to the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines as well as the rehabilitation of typhoon-hit areas. Mayan Los Baños with the details.
The Senate has passed the 4.5 trillion peso 2021 national budget on second and third readings. The spending measure focuses on rebuilding the country in the wake of the ongoing pandemic and recent typhoons. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Sonny Angara said the health sector, among others, will receive the biggest increase. Around 8 billion pesos is allocated for the health department for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. Lawmakers also provided an additional 54 billion pesos for the immunization under the unprogrammed funds. For the storage and distribution, an amount of 21 billion pesos has been reserved for the next year.
There will also be significant funds devoted for a mass immunization program across the Philippines, including storage, transmission, and distribution of vaccines.
Around 1 billion pesos will be given to the Interior Department for the recruitment, training, and deployment of contact tracers, while more than 15 billion pesos will be provided for the hiring of more than 23,000 healthcare workers. The Senate also gave huge funding for the improvement of public healthcare facilities, including the RITM.
The pandemic has only highlighted the critical role the RITM plays in safeguarding our society. By providing them with more funds now, we hope to further empower them and save more lives.
The upper chamber also appropriated amounts to help the economy, especially those who lost their jobs due to the health crisis. To address the destruction left by calamities, the Senate allocated 21 billion pesos for Risk Reduction Management Fund.
Significant funding will be set aside to help LGUs build shelter and resettlement, as well as roads, bridges, flood control, and evacuation facilities.
The education sector will still receive the biggest chunk of the national budget, amounting to more than 712 billion pesos. Much of it will be allocated for the reproduction and delivery of learning resources like class modules. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
The Senate also passed the CREATE Bill, the second package under government's comprehensive tax reform program. The measure, which has seen an arduous run in Congress, seeks to lower corporate income tax to 25% from 30%. It also wants to rationalize fiscal incentives, a move that critics say could impact foreign investments. The measure had undergone several name changes, starting off with Trabajo and Sitira, as lawmakers debated its possible impact on employment. Ways and Means Committee Chairman Joey Salceda said the lower house will adopt the Senate's version. And these are the other big stories today. The Tourism Department is investigating a Halloween party in Boracay where attendees were seen in a video violating health protocols. The DOT has backed the recommendation of the Boracay Rehabilitation Group to close the involved establishment over lack of necessary permits. But Mayor Floribar Bautista says the party happened in a private residence. He says the organizers have been fined 5,000 pesos, while two partygoers are facing criminal complaints for wearing police uniforms during the gathering.
Siguro, dahil na-file na ng kaso, dahil na-penalize, I don't think mayroon paggagawa ng ganyang kalukuhan. Sa lahat ng mga nagplano mag-organize, so sana wag na yung tuluyan. Well, mayroon talaga yung kalalagyan.
President Rodrigo Duterte has appointed former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo as his advisor on Clark programs and projects. Arroyo, who also had a stint as House Speaker, will receive an annual salary of only 1 peso based on her appointment papers. In a statement, Palace spokesman Harry Roque said Arroyo's experience as a former head of state, as well as her concern for her home province of Pampanga, will be valuable. The Chief Executive has also named a veteran poll supervisor from Davao del Norte as new COMELEC Commissioner. Lawyer Aimee Ferolino Ampolocchio replaces former Commissioner Al Pereño, who retired on February. She will serve until 2027 once confirmed by the Commission on Appointments. With this, 6 of the 7 poll commissioners are now Duterte appointees. The University of the Philippines remains in the top 100 higher education institutions in Asia. A total of 14 schools in the country made it to the latest QS rankings, making this year the nation's best performance in the exercise so far. Out of 650 schools on the list, the country's premier university placed 69th, climbing 3 spots from its previous ranking. Ateneo de Manila University, De La Salle University, and the University of St. Tomas, meanwhile, dropped from the rankings from last year. The University of the Philippines is implementing a no-fail policy due to the back-to-back typhoons and the COVID-19 pandemic. Some students and their teachers are still calling for an end to the semester. Laila Pangilinan with this story.
Students from the University of the Philippines received good news while staging a rally in front of the Commission on Higher Education office on Thursday. University officials have approved their request to implement a no-fail policy as students cope with the distance learning setup. This means no student will receive a grade of 4 or 5 this semester.
Isa po itong tagumpay ng pagkilos ng mga stroller ng bayan dahil sa pressure at pananalampag ng libo-libong mga estudyante sa online man yan o sa on-ground na protesta dito.
Many students and teachers have time and again decried that some are being left behind this pandemic. Some of their fellow students, they say, do not have proper learning materials and a stable internet connection. The recent typhoons also destroyed modules and other online learning tools in the hardest hit areas. The UP Diliman Student Council says some students have opted out of school this semester.
Dapat tumaas ang pondo at suporta na binibigay ng pambansang administrasyon sa mga pamantasan, lalo na siyempre sa mga state universities and colleges, no? Na yun talaga yung problema na yun.
Some UP professors showed up at the rally to support their students. Professors insist on giving students a grade of P or passed instead of numerical equivalents.
Kung bibigyan mo sila ng ganong paghuhusga, hindi natin masasabing pantay-pantay ang pagtrato natin sa lahat ng mga mag-aaral.
UP workers who remain unpaid because of the pandemic also joined the rally. The UP Office of Vice President for Academic Affairs is set to release the guidelines for the no-fail policy this semester. For News 5, Laila Pangilinan, we are One News.
We'll take another break. When we return, President Duterte is backing the proposal to extend the Bangsamoro transition for another 3 years. And a tiny monolith mystifies a helicopter crew in a Utah desert. More of that when we return. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. President Duterte is supporting the proposed extension of the Bangsamoro transition period. How will this impact the peace process? Ria Fernandez with this report.
Peace Process Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. tells lawmakers that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on the transition of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM. For 2020, Galvez says the government has allotted 1.4 billion pesos for the decommissioning of firearms of about 14,000 former Muslim rebels. However, the fund has been significantly reduced to address the more pressing health crisis. According to the Bangsamoro Organic Law, the Transition Authority led by MILF Chairman Alhaj Murad shall turn over administration to the BARM once its new set of leaders are elected in 2022. But with the current situation, Murad had sought an extension from President Duterte. Galvez says the president supports the request for an extension.
I recommended that the request for the extension be given due consideration, considering that the transition of 3 years is really a very short time.
Some Mindanao lawmakers are seeking assurance that the Bangsamoro law will be honored.
Personally, for me, we want there to be an election in the BARM because that is the constitutional right of our Filipino constituency within the autonomous region. It should not be withheld from them.
Galvez assured the state's accountability to Moro people and duty on its obligations under the peace agreement. But he stressed the need for ample time to fully implement CAB.
The normalization process will be stalled for maybe more than 2 years. If we want this transition to be successful, we have to give our brothers ample time to lay down the foundation.
The palace emphasizes the importance of coordination between BARM and the national government.
Payo po ni Presidente, kinakailangan ng batas yan dahil yung batas po ng eleksyon para sa BARM ay nakapaloob po sa batas. Pero kinakailangan talaga makipag-ugnayan ang mga taga-BARM sa ating mga kongresista at mga senador.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
Business leaders and economists are sharing their insights on how countries can best adapt to challenges posed by the pandemic. The Philippines is reportedly well-positioned for recovery but not to pre-pandemic levels just yet. China Francisco has the details.
While the government claims the worst may be over for the Philippine economy, recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic may take longer than expected, at least according to some international financial institutions. Speaking in a two-day virtual forum hosted by Business World, the World Bank notes that full recovery is still hinged on people getting their jobs and income back. The Asian Development Bank agrees, saying pre-COVID economic growth won't take place until at least the year 2022.
But this recovery is going to be fragile and slow, as the pandemic affects consumer and business confidence the most.
The ADB also notes that while remittances and trade are picking up, the tourism and the property sectors remain a problem. The multilateral bank says infrastructure spending is critical to aid economic recovery in the next 1 to 2 years, with its multiplier effect on job creation. Business leaders also stress the vaccine rollout as a key to revitalizing consumer confidence.
The next big wave will really come with vaccines, as you might expect. And so the vaccines and any success that we have on that front will be a far more relaxing component of how people look at the future if they realize that there is a solution to their potential health needs.
The ADB is now in talks with the Philippine government regarding vaccine procurement. The Ayala Group, for its part, says it will continue to invest in the healthcare space. PLDT Smart, on the other hand, vows to continue improvements in customer connectivity to assist the health and education industries, as well as businesses shifting to e-commerce.
We do have to develop the digital ecosystems that beyond connectivity to make it happen.
Overall, the World Bank notes the country is well positioned in terms of recovery.
Improved public health policies, continuously agile and sound fiscal and monetary policies, and a determination to implement structural reforms, the Philippines will remain well placed to bounce back.
The World Bank also urged Philippines to capitalize on the services and e-commerce sector, calling them the future of global trade. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
Sad news for Pinoy metalheads. Slapshot frontman Jamir Garcia has died at the age of 42. A Quezon City police report said Garcia was found lifeless in his home past 9 a.m. No other details were available. His death comes a month after Slapshot disbanded after 23 years due to tensions among the members. Slapshot on Twitter changed its profile picture to black, expressing their mourning. If you or someone you know needs help, please call Hopeline at 02-884-8804-4673 or 0917-558-4673. A helicopter crew discovered a mysterious monolith in the middle of a desert in Utah. It looked like the stuff of sci-fi movies. At least that's how pilot Brett Hutchings of the State Department of Public Safety described the metal object. Hutchings, however, was quick to point out the structure was more likely a product of some new wave artist or a fan of the classic Stanley Kubrick film 2001: A Space Odyssey. The monolith was found in a remote area that remains undisclosed, but the Public Safety Department says there was no obvious indication of how it got there. The U.S. Bureau of Land Management, which owns the land, is refusing to comment while investigations are ongoing. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News. Good evening.
Good evening po, General.